Hey everybody. I'm not sure we're going to cover this in one video or two, but um, this is the last part of the Module 2 workbook, and we're focusing on budgeting here, which is a really important concept for life. It does connect to the milestone, so there'll be some budget work in that. And yeah, let's jump into it. So you can read through some of this stuff to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the first question. Alfredo expected to work 150 hours this month. However, he got sick and missed 2 of his shifts. If each of his missed shifts lasted 77.5 hours, how many hours did he work? There's a couple of different ways I could think about that, but I think the simplest, well, one of the things that's happening here is this is not a straightforward question. The math isn't complicated, but it's like this is a problem solving opportunity, right? So think about, all right, I'm gonna work 150 hours, but I didn't work all of those hours because I got sick. We know that he missed 2 shifts. Each of the shifts lasted 7.5 hours, each of the ones that he missed. And so we can sort of directly go and figure out the answer. The answer should be less than 150 hours because that's what I expected to work. That's what Alfredo expected to work. I often say I when I'm sort of thinking about things because it helps put me into the context. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, do the work, then you can see the answer, and hopefully you'll feel good about how we got that. Remember that you're not trying to type the answer directly and you're trying to do the math behind it. Okay. And I hope that makes sense. If, in any situation where you're like, I don't know how I got this, one of the things you can do if you want to keep proceeding and working is to put in the answer, but then make a note to yourself. An easy way to do that would be to use a color. And then that way you can say to yourself later, as you're going back through this before you submit it, well, I need to get help on this question. So I didn't understand how we got there. I know we got that answer, but I don't know what we did. Okay. So I'm going to use a cell reference here to link it to here because I want the answer there. This should not be dollars, so I'm going to change it to number. So it's 135 hours. I don't really need the decimals. That's the wrong way. Okay, here we go. So again, this formatting stuff comes up from time to time. Good to be able to do the formatting. I do not want to do the work twice, so I'm just using a cell reference to bring the answer from here to there. I could have done the work here and brought it over here. That's kind of up to you. All right, gross income. So gross means how much we paid total, not thinking about taxes, any of that stuff. So if I work 1 hour, I get $19. If I work 2 hours, how much money am I making? And this is a great example to talk about a simpler, similar strategy. Some of you know exactly what to do. Some of you may not know what to do. Simpler, similar is a general problem solving strategy where I'm like, I need to know how much is Alfredo making if he worked 135 hours and he gets paid $19 per hour. So simpler, similar is a strategy where I recast this question, but I make the numbers much similar. I worked for 3 hours and I got paid $20 an hour. So would that make it more clear what math you need to do in order to get there? Once you can answer this question, then you can answer this question. So again, go back to part 3. I'm going to go ahead and pause, put the work in here, put the answer in here. Okay. So I've got my answer here. It's a little bit less than what I predicted, what Alfredo predicted. That makes sense because we lost some hours because of being sick. And now we're ready to go into the next part. Okay, so the income tax percentage is about 12%. This is actually way more complicated in real life. It has to do with tax tables and what's the level of income. And then there's multiple different types of taxes and withholding and Social Security withholding and Medicare withholding. Anyways, we're just simplifying it to kind of be able to move forward here and get a reasonable estimate. 12% income tax. So that's just a percent of question. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pause here, and I'm actually going to reverse course and start doing my work in this column and then having this link out to these. Doesn't really matter which way you do it, but this is a percent of question, very similar to what we did in module 1. Okay. And I got my amount paid in taxes. I'm using the cell reference down here now, so I'm linking it back from here. Again, this makes sense in terms of the direction, going from the amount paid in taxes to the actual amount for the last month. And the next step would be, how much did I actually bring in net? So the difference between gross and net is gross is everything. Net is after you take out the deduction. The deduction here is the taxes. So deduction means I'm taking it away. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this answer is the same as this answer. That's the money that's available. I'm not putting anything into retirement, but it should be. Alfredo should be. And so now we're ready. This is question 4. Net income. Okay, right. So the rest of these now are about bills, things that I'm paying, things that Alfredo's paying. So he and his roommate owe 186.24. They split it evenly. How much is he paying for heat this month? Okay. So I'm taking the 186.24 and I'm dividing it up into 2 parts. Water and garbage every 3 months, $84. They split it evenly, 3 equal payments. How much will he pay this month? All right. So a little more thinking here. I'm going to go ahead and pause and kind of do some of these problems because I want you to do the thinking yourself. Okay. So I've done my calculations here. It's formatting it a little differently. I can just do this if I want to make it kind of look the same. Oh, I can't. I don't know why it's doing that. Counting currency. There we go. Doesn't really matter. And there were some things like this grocery thing that was typed in directly, but everything else had some work somewhere. Cell reference to here. And again, if you're just typing in numbers here, like pause the video, just type in all the numbers, you can get all the answers right, but you're going to lose points on the process. And that's really important because that's the whole point of this class is to think and to learn and to grow as a mathematical thinker. So the total is a word that means we bring things together. So we're going to add everything up. There is a formula that we're going to learn today, really our first formula called sum. So I type equals sum, I open parenthesis, which is shift 9, and then I highlight all of the numbers that I want to add up. So basically this is going to tell Excel to take each of these numbers and add them up. Now this is where maybe before this point you're like, Excel, like I could just use a calculator. This is really where Excel is like calculator. No, because you're gonna have to type all those numbers in by hand. And what if you make a little mistake? This is so much more powerful. All right. So based on Alfredo's expected net monthly income, okay, net monthly income, this one, I want to know if I should have been saving, if he should have been saving 20%, how much should he have planned to save? So again, I'm going to do this expected net monthly income, actual net monthly income. Okay, so Billy, 2 very similar calculations. I want 20% of something. Again, I think you know how to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and pause here, let you think about it. Okay, do the next couple of questions. So these are the 20% questions, 10 and 11. And then I went ahead and did this next question. So, and again, let's talk simpler, similar, right? In this question, we're being asked something like this. So I'm going to bring this over. Just want to keep giving you ideas about how to use simpler, similar. Oops, copy, paste. All right. So let's say he had net income of $2,000 and his expenses were $1,700. So what do I do with these two numbers, right? And again, if that's not simple enough for you, go smaller so you can think of this. I had a net income of $20 and my expenses were $18. What is the operation that's happening to see how much I have left over, right? What does leftover mean? So that's really what we're getting at there. And that's what I did to get this 158.80. Okay. So now we're going to look at what percentage of his income did he save, his actual net income. And so we got to remind ourselves how to do a percentage. How do I do a percentage? So if I saved $3 and my actual net income was $20, what percentage does that represent? Well, it's not 100% because if it was 100%, I'd be saving $20. So it's less than 100%. And remember from last week, we just need to make a ratio in order to make a percentage. You can format this as a percent. And basically, we're looking at the part, that's the part you saved out of the whole 3 out of 20 in this similar situation. All right. So that should give you what you need in order to do this problem. I'm going to go ahead and pause. Okay. And so here we are at the finish line. And notice that this percentage has got a crazy number of decimals. I'm going to do fewer decimals. I'm going to format it up here. Whoa, that's more decimals, fewer decimals. Just going to round it to no decimals, actually. I mean, 7% is a lot easier to talk about. And notice that as we're answering this question about, whether he saved enough, well, the first question is, what could he do differently? And so you're looking back at the budget and thinking about where were the actual costs, out of line with the other costs. And then in this question, justifying your answer, think about bringing numbers in to say, no, he's not doing enough, or yes, he's doing enough, and bring in numbers that you calculated as evidence of that. This is a big skill that we're going to work on throughout the term. I think that's all the stuff you need in order to do this assignment. You've got some time to do this because of our async day. We're not meeting on Monday. And definitely let me know if you're confused or you need help. You got this.